Thank you. Nice. All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're watching this Facebook Live. This is the voice and the face of Dr. Tulo Labinton. I'm CEO and the co-founder of Living Spring Family Medical Center here in the amazing city of Mansfield, Texas, where we believe in helping our patients live long and well because we believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. If you're watching live, hashtag live, and if you're watching replay, hashtag replay, I'd like to connect with you after this to see and give you a shout out for joining us. But today I'm excited to have Dr. Maria Duroseau. Did I say that well?
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Oh, thank you. And today we'll be having the conversation on Doc, my toddler throws massive tantrums. Help me. I am tired of shouting. Doc, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you doing this even on your off day. And you know you're busy. So thank you. Thank you. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you, Dr. Labintan, for having me on your platform. And I'm excited to join with you in serving your clients.
Awesome, awesome. And me too. So I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to be taking notes on this one. So Doc, please, if you don't mind, introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
So my name is Maria Duroseau. I'm a pediatrician. I've been doing that for over 10 years. I was born and raised in Zambia and then moved to the United States for medical school and got married, have two kids, a 9 and 7-year-old. And I'm an auntie to a lot of people. So this is me.
Awesome, awesome. You see, every guest I have, they downplay their background. Okay. Thank you. You're raised in Zambia before you moved here. Her practice has spanned 3 states, serving in different capacities as the family violence champion, learning trauma informed care, culturally competent care, and then she was the pediatric medical administrative officer, utilizing her skills from the Harvard Pediatric Leadership program. She's also a life coach, and she serves to bring all these skills together to support parents, teenagers in developing essential skills for a successful transition to adulthood. So you don't just take your kids, you help the parents, you also support teenagers as well. She's also very passionate about supporting and enhancing parenting skills as the studies and her personal experience show that one of the best gifts a parent can give her children is to be the best version of themselves. I love your I help statement. I love what you do. I wanted to highlight that because most of my they don't say all the things. So thank you for what you do. What you do is very, very powerful.
Yes, this is, whenever you see kids in clinic, you have to recognize that they don't live in a vacuum, and the space that they're growing in is obviously affected by who their parents are, how their parents are. And so I know that when we're in clinic, we give a lot of anticipatory guidance, do this, do that, sometimes without addressing, does the parent have this ability to do all of the things that we're recommending? I will have sometimes parents tell me, I've read all of these help books and parenting books and so on, but like without the skills to put those into motion, it makes it actually very difficult. And so this is what kind of inspired me and sparked. I said, you know what, there's actually a need in this parenting space to just show parents how to actually use all of the tools that we have in all of these parenting books.
So you help them move from theory to practical
Absolutely.
and you make it come alive for them. So you let them know it's doable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is possible.
I love what you do. I mean that. That's big. So today we're talking tantrums. I
Yes.
have some of my clients say, Doc, either even in the room, they bring the kids to their appointment and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do, Doc." And so the conversation kind of steers a little bit from their visit to, okay, how do we help with this outside of here? So we're talking tantrums. And the first question I have for you is, why do toddlers throw tantrums? Like what, as a pediatrician, how would you explain it? I think that would help us as parents who are watching, who are like,
Right.
they're not
So
sure why they do it.
they do it because this is a normal part of their developmental stage. So you think about toddlers, instead of that little baby that you would lay in the crib and they sat there until you came and got them, This is now somebody who is able, from a gross motor developmental stage, able to get up and walk and hold around and move, climb, pull, all of these kind of things. And then also really interacting a whole lot more with their world. And so all of these things are fascinating to watch, but they also add this dimension of now they're in a place where they can experience a lot of frustrations. There's the exciting part. I'm discovering new things. I'm loving this. And then, no, we can't touch that. Don't go there. This is off limits. So just a place to meet all of these frustrations, which though, meeting frustrations is not a problem. It's a developmental skill that you have to learn. We all have had to learn frustration tolerance, right? And so as they're growing and developing and experiencing all of this, our job is not to stop toddler tantrums necessarily, but to recognize it as a developmental stage. So I would say instead of calling it terrible twos, just call it normal twos.
So normalize it. So it's we don't like it, but it shows that developing normally.
Right.
That helps. That helps. Now, for the parent who's watching, it's like, okay, I get it. That's normal for them. But we're in the mall, we're at the grocery store, and they're doing this and they're calling attention. Like, are there effective ways to kind of dial that down a little? Like, what would you say to that question?
So I would say that the first thing to do is don't react to the tantrum. Now, notice I said don't react. I didn't say don't respond. And those are two different things. React is your knee jerk. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're creating a scene. This is not the place to do this. Come on, let's go. Stop it. And typically reactions will come in a couple of forms. One, you get frustrated and at some point you start yelling, or there's that kind of closed mouth. Your teeth are kind of barely moving. You need to stop that right now. And you're just feeling really tense and frustrated in your body, right? And that's some form of that. Or the other side is, I've got to stop it right now. What does the kid want? I'm going to give it to them right now. And so either one of those two obviously is not going to be the ideal. You want to kind of take a step back. One, bring back into your mind that this is normal. Of course, my toddler is doing this. They're too. Or another one that I like is that, my kid is not a problem. My kid is having a problem.
Okay.
So once you make that shift in your mind, you're not going to react. You now take in the whole situation and say, okay, well, we're in the grocery store. Either one, I need to finish doing my groceries and my kid is having a meltdown. In this moment, is this a lesson that I need to teach, that you've asked me for something and I said no, and so you don't get to lay on the floor screaming? Well, I do want to teach this lesson. So what I'm going to do is, as even though I don't really have the time to do this, we're going to stop. We're going to remove ourselves from this high stimulus situation, go to the car or go to a quiet corner of the store and say, hey, I get that. I get that you don't want to be here. We need to buy groceries so we can have food to eat. We're going to sit here until you take a minute and you settle down so we can finish doing our grocery shopping. And it is possible. It is possible to do that. Again, once you come from a place of this is normal, this is what they're going to do, and you are not reacting, you are now responding, where you are in full emotional control of yourself, so that then you can respond to whatever's happening emotionally for your child.
So I've seen even in practical examples that when you acknowledge their feelings, it helps. Like you validate that what they're feeling is, then you steer them into the right, like, okay, we still got to do this.
Right.
And sometimes that's hard, because even how we were raised, you don't have the kind of conversation in year two. What do you have to say? But we're parenting differently. We're parenting better. We're teaching, and we're also learning to control ourselves. And I think that's the harder part, where we don't react how we feel, we respond. Now I'm gonna throw this real quick. I was watching, there was a TikTok video of a child who threw a tantrum, and then the mother also threw a tantrum. So she starts rolling on the floor too. And the kid is like actually looking embarrassed. What would you say to that?
That is funny, and I have seen things like that too, which part of what that mom was doing is a skill that I call redirecting. So it's in the middle of them throwing a fit, you're kind of directing their attention to something else. Now, does it need to be as dramatic as throwing a fit too? I mean, I'm sure at some level, the kid might find it funny, but redirection is actually quite a useful tool. It depends on where your child is in their tantrum. If it's just kind of the beginning stages and you redirect, I mean, their attention span is this quick. If you've noticed this in clinic or just around little kids, you go, look at that. And they immediately forget. They'll stop mid-cry, mouth wide open, and start looking at whatever it is that you're pointing at, which shows you that they can be redirected. Now, if you're at the point of no return, and you know what I'm talking about, there's that point of where they've just really committed to, I'm throwing this tantrum, redirection might not work. Which then will be the point of choosing something different, where you say, okay, we're in this place where there's a lot of stimulation. Maybe we'll shift to a different place where there's not as much stimuli, there's not as many people, there's not the toy that it is that we're fighting over, or the TV or whatever. Let's just take a second for you to go through your emotion. And so again, remembering that the idea here is that our kids, it's not our job to stop them from having big emotions. They're absolutely allowed to have all their big emotions. What our job is to show them what to do with those big emotions. So sometimes I get so upset that I can't be around people and I can't be around things. And so I just take a step away until I kind of settle down and learn to breathe. That's okay. So this thing of stop doing that, stop crying, stop being so mad. I mean, that's like the adult version of saying, hey, calm down, which if you've ever found that work to tell an upset adult, you need to calm down, let me know.
I have to type this down because that you just dropped. I mean, you dropped many gems, but I'm sorry that I'm doing this. But this is big. It is not our job to stop their big emotions, but to show them what to do with their big emotions. My goodness. My goodness. Because we don't want them to not be who they are. We don't want them to not find expression of their gifting or their talent or their bigness and boldness. We don't want to shut that down, but we want to redirect them because those emotions are valid. Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they're a normal part of the human experience. Nobody is going to be happy all the time. Nobody's going to be peaceful all the time. That is what we aspire to. And this is what we're teaching them. What we are showing is that when you do get upset, these are the options available to you. And these options are probably not going to be the best. So if I join into a tantrum, yelling, getting into their face, you need to stop that. What are you doing? What I'm showing is that when I get mad, yelling is what I do. So then if we're saying that we don't want the kids to have such big tantrums, part of it is we have to kind of model that for them, because then if they're seeing me lose it, and you might have heard this saying, don't bring your calm to their chaos. Well, if you're bringing your chaos to their chaos, I mean, this is just like feeding into each other and keeps that fire burning, so to speak.
Okay. Bring calm to man. Sorry, I'm taking notes because
this is good. And so this is why this comes back to what I had said. I think that becoming the best version of yourself is one of the best gifts that you can give to your children, because you will model the things that it is that you're trying to teach, as opposed to teaching them what it is that you haven't gotten yourself.
All right. So Doc. So there's a big aha moment where it's the parent. We got to work on ourselves. So for the parent who's watching this, who's like, oh man, does that mean I got to work on anger management? Like I've messed up big time. I have yelled at my kid. I've done the screaming match with them over a tantrum. What would you say to that parent who's feeling like crap, man? It sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like I have to change who I am, become this great person to be a good parent, and I feel overwhelmed. What would you say to
One, I would say, of course you are, that you're human. We're all human. And so this is part of humaning, right? Um, it is, daunting to first just kind of say, hey, oh my gosh, this is where I contribute to what's happening.
that?
But once that feeling kind of passes, the next step would be, oh, great, this is something that I actually can do about. Because think about it. Can you control another person? No. You can manipulate, you can dominate, you can threaten, all of those things, right? But you can't actually make them do what you want them to do. Toddlers are, no different. And so if you're leaving your emotional power and leaving just all of your power actually in the hands of a toddler, like if my toddler can behave a certain way, then I will feel okay. That's actually setting yourself for a never win battle, right? But now if you say that there are things that I can do for me that can shift this dynamic, now, I mean, that's a place to get excited, right?
Wow. Wow. All right. So for those who are watching live or replay, this is very, very good. And a lot of these things sound pretty simple, right? But they're very powerful. And I love that you're putting before us the picture of you want to create, not create, but you want to encourage or bring out the best character possible, or bring out the best in our children. And that's the drive. And so when we put that in view, then we're able to what I call swallow some saliva when we're on edge. Because sometimes, I mean, they know how to push our buttons. Especially, I think as they get older, they know kind of read the signs. Like, oh, this is getting to her. Let me keep pressing it. And so when we have that in view, it would help modify our reactions. And yes, we make mistakes. I love that you highlighted that we're human, but it's what we do with the mistakes that matter. And so now we've had this conversation. We know we need to practice being calm. We need to practice redirecting. We need to practice modeling what we want to see. And like a muscle, as we practice it, it gets stronger, it gets better. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And so the practicing, you used a good word. It really is something that you have to practice. And ideally, you practice before the track meet. You don't practice during the track meet,
True.
right? You practice before. So think about my next toddler tantrum. What is something that'll bring calm to me? What are the thoughts that I can use? So one of the things, two things that I think at that toddler stage, really important. This is normal. This is my kid being 2 because they're 2, right? That's one. Or my kid is having a problem versus my kid is a problem. And so when you practice ahead of time, that'll just kind of settle and calm your body so that when you get into that moment, you're like, oh, look at that. They're throwing a tantrum in the middle of the grocery store and flailing around. Wow, my kid is being 2. And this replaces those thoughts of, oh my gosh, you're going to embarrass me. Stop doing that. What are you doing this? What am I doing wrong in parenting that my kid is acting this way? All of these things will spin in your mind, right? And when you have those kind of thoughts, they generate a different kind of feeling versus the calm that it is that you want. So you've got to practice those thoughts ahead of time. Pick one that actually works for you, and then use it, engage it in that moment and say, okay, this is what they're doing, I also do want to add, as you're looking at your, just your toddler tantrums, learn to pick your battles and kind of frame it in the way that is based on safety. Because again, I want to go back to the developmental stage that they're in. They're exploring, they're learning, they're engaging in their world, and that is absolutely okay. And so if your expectation of this is I'm going to just keep them safe as they're doing this versus I'm going to make them this absolutely upstanding member of society, that is not the lesson you're trying to teach right now. Right now, we're 2 or 3, we're just learning safety, and these are the things that we're going to do. So if you pick your battles and frame them in that standpoint of, I'm just going after safety. It helps you figure out what it is that I'm trying to teach in this moment. What is it that I need to focus on? Or what are the things that I can actually let go? Is the kid safe? Yes, they are. Maybe this is not a place that I need to reach in and say, stop that. I could just then engage from the standpoint of, oh, wow, this is them engaging in their environment, and maybe even join them or redirect that this is what you're trying to do. Let me show you this way that we can do it so that everybody is safe. So that is really helpful to engage from that point.
Awesome. Awesome. Very powerful tools. Thank you so much, Doc, for sharing. You dropped so many gems. I'm taking notes mentally as well. I'm going to practice a lot of these things. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My final question is this, though. Are there times where a tantrum is not normal? Yeah, briefly, I know that's a very...
Yes. So, okay, from the developmental stage, again, because we really need to take into account where they are developmentally. So if this is a place where the tantrums are extending from a place that they haven't developed, maybe there's a sensory integration disorder going on here. We also do screen for, autism or anything that's on the spectrum there. When you have a tantrum, that is triggered by things that are kind of typically normal in the surroundings. So if loud noises seem to really make a difference for your child, and that gets them to where they are up here and they stay up here for 20, 30 minutes, that might be something that you want to engage in a discussion with your pediatrician about. If, there's kind of a developmental delay from the speech and communication. So the tantrum is stemming from, I'm trying to communicate with you, but nobody understands me. And so there's that big frustration that goes there. Well, then we talk about what do we need to do from a speech and language development. So a lot more things that can go, but I think it would be from the standpoint of looking at it. Are we developmentally reaching all the milestones we are? And could it be that the tantrum is just an expression of a problem from a developmental place?
Beautiful, beautiful. Very, very important to have these discussions with your pediatrician. And thank you for highlighting this. Doc, this has been awesome. And I look forward to having you again, probably about 6 months. Yeah.
Okay. This sounds great. There's so much more, but normalize, this is the place that they'll do this because it's developmentally appropriate. And then check in with yourself, like, why are my trigger buttons being pushed? Why do I have trigger buttons around this? And how can I disconnect those?
I love it. I love it. We're going to have this conversation again.
Yes.
This has been very good. And I have people who are watching who are like, wow, I like this doc. Where is she? How can I connect with her? I need her to come speak on my platform to parents. We need to hear more of this to empower parents to bring out the best in their children. Doc, where can people find you?
So this is great, and I would love to. Maria Duroseau on Facebook, then also Instagram. So I'm newbie Instagrammer, burntoutparent.md. You can find me on Instagram, right? Then also I do have a parenting course that I do share, and that might be something, I share the link with you if you're able to share it or not on your platform. That would be fine too, where they can also book a consult with me to either speak or to engage in one-on-one coaching, just to kind of reinforce all of the things that I do talk about.
Awesome. Awesome. And we're going to put all that information here in the comment section so people can connect with you now or in the future. But thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Keep momming, keep parenting. It is possible.
Yes. Thank you. Wow, this has been awesome. Please share, guys, ladies, whoever's watching, please share this with those who could find this useful. Simply forward this video to them or tag them in the comment. And if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a thorough, and a passionate family physician who will help you live long and well, and we have conversations like this to help empower you, even as a parent, I am she. Have a good one, everyone. And thank you.
Care.
Thank you.
Thank
Doc.
you so much. Thanks for all you do.